Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel, The Current Affairs Audiobooks. This channel has been created to provide updated info about various current affairs issues. So if you like the content, please do like, share and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit the bell icon to notify you when I post new content. Hello friends, in the series of international relations topics, today we will have a look at the India-China relations with a brief into the background of the dispute of the military clashes along with the current situation and the way forward from an examination point of view. Coming on to the background of the India-China border dispute, the total length of India-China border is 3,488 kilometers and it is divided into three sectors, namely the western sector, the middle sector and the eastern sector. Majority of disputes between the two countries is in the Ladakh region and the state of Arunachal Pradesh. What is India's position? India wants that the border in the west should remain at the 1959 position, thereby implying that it does not recognize China's claim over Aksai Chin. The northern borders of Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim correspond to the McMahon line and hence should be the boundary. India also holds that China is in possession of Indian territory which it occupied illegally during the 1962 conflict. The Sakshkam Valley has been illegally ceded by Pakistan to China. Coming on to China's position. China claims 90,000 square kilometers in the eastern sector, which is the entire state of Arunachal Pradesh. It currently occupies 38,000 square kilometers, which is Aksai Chin in Kashmir. It is in possession of 5,000 square kilometers of the Sakshkam Valley, which has been ceded to it by Pakistan in June 1963. China does not recognize the McMahon line as the boundary. Let us have a look at the key aspects of the LAC standoff. The India-China LAC standoffs were identified in at least 4 locations of the LAC, that is the Galwan Valley, the Pengongso Lake region, the Hot Springs, Gogra, Depsang Plains in Ladakh, and Nakula in Sikkim. India has demanded for a return to status quo ante and retreat of Chinese troops which have occupied Indian patrol areas. China wants to retain a number of troops at Finger 4 and 6, which is not acceptable to India. Violent clashes erupted between Indian and Chinese troops at Galwan on 15 June 2020. China has unilaterally tried to expand its territorial claim along the Galwan Valley to protect its strategic road in Aksai Chin. India has rejected China's claims on the entire Galwan Valley. China's action of violence is against the border agreements which has been signed between the two countries. What is the strategic importance of the Galwan region? The Galwan Valley is strategically located between Ladakh in the west and Aksai Chin in the east. China has objected to India's road construction activities at the western end of the Galwan Valley in the area between the Galwan-Shok confluence and the LAC. China's Xinjiang-Tibet Road, called the G219 Highway, passes through Aksai Chin, linking Tibet and Xinjiang, the gateway to China's Belt and Road Initiative, heading towards Central Asia en route to Europe. Let us have a look at the reasons behind the LAC standoff. The line of actual control has never been demarcated and the face-off and standoff incidents occur due to the overlapping claim lines of India and China. Both countries have differing perceptions on a number of spots across the Ladakh region, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh sectors of the India-China LAC. The two countries have broadly agreed to the boundary in the Sikkim sector, but there has been no delineation. When patrols of both the countries encounter each other in the contested zones, face-offs occur, and the rules of disengagement to prevent such incidents have been agreed by both the countries in 2005 and 2013, but they have not always been followed. India has insisted on an exercise to clarify the differing perceptions of the LAC to prevent the incidents of standoff. Both countries embarked on exchange of maps in the middle sector, but in the western, where the contested areas are the maximum, China rejected the exercise. India's upgraded infrastructure along the border allows troops to patrol with greater depth and frequency into areas where China had established better infrastructure due to its favorable terrain. That is now being challenged by India. China's internal domestic political situation is one of the main reasons behind China's tough stance on the border with India. A number of diplomatic moves were initiated to resolve the LAC standoff. Talks were held on 5th June 2020 between the foreign minister and both the countries agreed to resolve their difference. Disengagement was announced after talks between the National Security Advisor and Chinese Foreign Minister. A working mechanism for consultation and coordination on India-China border affairs has been set up. A meeting was held between the defense minister and his Chinese counterpart on the sidelines of the SCO defense ministers meeting at Moscow on 4th of September 2020. India and China agreed on a 5-point action plan after a meeting between India's external affairs minister and his counterpart. India's economic measures against China. India has banned a total of 224 Chinese mobile apps, which has been termed as a digital strike. The foreign direct investment in internet technologies will be regulated. India will not be importing power equipment from China. Chinese companies would not be allowed to take part in road projects. The government is also considering trade and procurement curbs targeting China. Scrutiny of Chinese investments in many sectors is also being increased. Chinese companies may also be kept out from the 5G trials. Coming on to the talks at the military level. So far, India and China have held 15 rounds of military talks at the Corps Commander level to resolve the LAC standoff. On 10th February, a phased disengagement at Pangongso Lake was agreed to, which was completed by 19th of Feb 2021. Both the countries agreed to remove any structures built by the two sides since April 2020. Both nations also agreed on a temporary moratorium on military activities in the North Bank, including patrolling in the traditional areas. Both countries have agreed to work towards achievement of complete disengagement at the earliest and abide fully by the bilateral agreements and protocols. The focus of the next round of military talks is expected to be on complete disengagement from friction points at Gogra and Hot Springs, disengagement from Patrol Point 14 at Galwan, and partial disengagement from Patrol Point 15 and 17 Alpha began in June 2020. A hotline has been established between the two countries in North Sikkim on 1st of August 2021. The disengagement process at Gogra area was carried out and completed on 6th of August 2021. Let us have a look at the current status of the Indian and Chinese positions. On 30th September 2021, India rejected China's attempts to blame it for the Eastern Ladakh standoff. India asserted that the provocative behavior and unilateral attempts by the Chinese military to alter the status quo along the LAC has seriously disturbed peace and tranquility in the region. The Chinese legislature adopted a new border law to take effect from 1st of January 2022. The new border law calls on the state and the military to safeguard territory and combat any acts that undermine China's territorial claims. The new law would formalize some of China's recent actions in disputed territories with India and Bhutan. Expressing concern over the new border law, India said that China must not use its new land boundary law to justify any actions that alter the situation at the line of actual control. On 30th December 2021, China's Ministry of Civil Affairs informed that it had issued standardized names of 15 places in the Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh to be used on official Chinese maps. On 31st December 2021, the Ministry of Defense said that in its year-end review, India has adequately enhanced force levels in areas where troop disengagement is yet to take place with China in eastern Ladakh. China continues to strengthen its military positions and upgrade its air bases facing India. It has also set up dual-use villages. The Indian Army has augmented its firepower along the LAC in the eastern sector by integrating various services in real time through automation. India announced the diplomatic boycott of the Winter Olympics in Beijing due to China's appointment of a regiment commander who was decorated for his actions against Indian soldiers in Galwan as an Olympic torchbearer. On 11th March 2022, the 15th round of Corps Commander talks was held at the Indian side. However, overall it was a failure. The focus of the talks was on working out disengagement agreement at Patrol Point 15 in the Gogra Hot Springs area as part of overall disengagement and de-escalation process. The areas yet to be resolved are Patrol Point 15 in the Gogra Hot Springs area, Demchok and Depsang. China has been reluctant to discuss Depsang and Demchok, insisting that they are not part of the current standoff. China has also undertaken large-scale construction of infrastructure, habitat, and support structures to maintain troops, altering the ground status. The resolution of the remaining issues remains a priority, and the two sides have agreed to maintain the security and stability on the ground in the western sector in the interim. They also agreed to maintain dialogue via military and diplomatic channels to reach a mutually acceptable resolution on the remaining issues. Let us have a look at the way forward. Although there has been partial disengagement in eastern Ladakh, the threat has by no means reduced and the army has bolstered its position. De-induction will have to follow a few laid out steps. That is, disengagement in the friction areas along the LAC, confidence building, followed by de-escalation, and de-induction can take place only after this has been completed. The decision will be based on the principle of mutual and equal security. A long-term solution which requires a permanent boundary agreement has to be worked out. Peace and tranquility in border areas is an essential prerequisite, and development of India-China relationship can be based on three mutuals, that is, mutual respect, mutual sensitivity, and mutual interest. 8 broad propositions as a way forward for the Indo-China relationship have been proposed by the External Affairs Minister. China is India's main long-term adversary, and therefore India needs to adopt a clear counter-China policy. India needs to adopt a calculated policy to neutralize China's military and diplomatic clout in the Indo-Pacific region without compromising on its own autonomy of decision-making in foreign policy. India is evolving a China policy which acknowledges China's aggressive military and trade expansion and also affirms that India shares a long, unsettled border dispute with China. India needs to continue to keep its vigil on the military, diplomatic, and economic fronts, and it requires to enhance and deepen its relations with its neighbors. The armed forces need to be prepared for military threats from both China and Pakistan, and hence setting up of unified theatre commands and other measures are essential. India needs to define national security strategy, higher defense strategic guidance, structural reforms in higher defense and operational organizations. To conclude, the two countries are standing at crossroads, and this might be the final chance to take the path to coexistence of cooperation and competition, failing which a new phase of rivalry may lead to both countries sliding into possible confrontation. With this, we have come to the end of today's discussion on Indo-China relations. Please do let me know if you would like to know more about current affairs topics in the comment section. If you like the content, please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. All the best. Jai Hind.